The IDF launched an attack in Gaza City and the neighboring al-Shati refugee camp overnight. Israeli media is reporting that a senior Hamas official was the target of that attack. The results of the strike are still unclear at this hour. For more on the war in Israel, Nathan Sales, former ambassador at large and coordinator for counterterrorism, joining us now. Thank you, Nathan, for being here, Ambassador. We were talking in the break a little bit about this ongoing war of words between the U.S. and Israel, and just how perplexing that is when you hear Netanyahu very firmly making an allegation that the U.S. is withholding support and stalling arms transfers, and then a flat refusal from the White House. I want to play for you what John Kirby said reacting to Netanyahu's claim. Listen to this.
The idea that we had somehow stopped helping Israel with their self-defense needs is actually just not accurate.
What's going on here? Do you think it's possible that Netanyahu's just messaging to a domestic audience and this is actually not happening?
I don't think we really know what's going on here. Clearly something is happening that has caused anxiety in Jerusalem. Is it possible that Netanyahu is amplifying the frictions in order to demonstrate to a skeptical Israeli public that he's still the man who can defeat Hamas, he's the man who can secure Israel? That's possible. The reason why I think that the allegations we've heard from Jerusalem are at least facially plausible is because we've actually seen this story play out before. We've seen it in Ukraine. For the past 2.5 years, the White House has given our Ukrainian partners just enough to stay in the fight, but not enough to win. They're afraid of provoking the Russian bear too much, a misplaced fear that Russia is going to escalate out of control. Is something similar going on here? We really don't know. I think it's a story that bears watching, but this is very clear. Our enemies are watching too. And anytime Iran, anytime the Lebanese terrorist group Hezbollah perceives daylight between Washington and Jerusalem, that is an invitation for them to try and drive a wedge and try and exploit those differences. A lot of the time, that's because the White House has been publicly wagging its finger at the Israelis and at Netanyahu in particular. Maybe the Israelis are turning the tables now and opening up some daylight. In any case, when the United States and Israel are in lockstep, that's good for security. When we're divided, that's an invitation to our adversaries.
How much more dangerous is that when you have the threat of another front opening on the Lebanon side?
I think it's extremely dangerous. You know, for the past 8 months, on day one after the October 7th attack by Hamas in the south of Israel, on the 8th, the very next day, Hamas ally Hezbollah started to open up a second front. And there's been tens of thousands of rockets that have been fired from Hezbollah positions in the north, in Lebanon, into Israeli communities. All told, there's about 60,000 Israelis who have had to evacuate the north. And they've been living in temporary housing for the past 8 months. Now, think about how the United States would respond if Canada were allowing a terrorist group and we had to evacuate Buffalo for 8 months. Clearly, the United States would never tolerate that kind of threat, and Israel shouldn't have to tolerate it either, but it's a powder keg. Hezbollah is one step away from making a massive miscalculation that could set off another massive tinderbox in the north.
You brought up Ukraine and how the U.S. has handled its relationship with Ukraine aid. And we had a pretty stunning development this week because it was just about a week ago that we were with the president in Italy at the G7, and they firmly said, we are not going to change our policy allowing Ukrainian forces to shoot over the border using U.S.-made munitions, except for in this very limited space. And they seemed like they were pretty set on that decision, that policy decision. And then this week they have opened that up to allow Ukrainians to use U.S. munitions anywhere along the border, so long as they're firing at someone that's firing at them. I mean, we're changing the policy and evolving with the threat, but not to a degree where, if you look at where Russia has its depots and its ground forces, critics of the administration say that it's not to a degree where it's going to turn the tide. What do you say to that?
Well, I'd say, first of all, it's about time. It's about time that the White House took some of these arbitrary and indefensible restrictions off of the Ukrainians. You can't win if you're forced to fight with one hand behind your back. And that's the position that we put the Ukrainians in since February of 2022, when Putin launched this war of aggression. And we've seen the same pattern play out. We are afraid, the White House is afraid of provoking Russian escalation. And, you know, for me, the low point came a couple of weeks after the war started. The Brits decided that they were going to impose economic sanctions on one of Putin's mistresses. And the United States said, I don't know, this is kind of provocative, we're not going to do it. So, like, what are you actually afraid of?
Yeah.
Like, if Svetlana can't come to New York to shop on Fifth Avenue, it's going to lead to World War III. And eventually, the White House saw the writing on the wall and imposed sanctions on this mistress. And guess what? The world didn't end. That pattern has played out over and over again. We hold back arms, we impose restrictions on the use of those arms by the Ukrainians. Finally, the situation becomes untenable, and we take the leash off. The Ukrainians take action, and Putin wilts. Putin's bluffing. We should not be afraid of Putin. Putin should be afraid of us.
Well, we've done it with HIMARS, with ATACMS, with Patriots. I mean, I remember splitting hairs over what's an offensive versus a defensive weapon, and you talk about drones, and it's like, it seems, like you're getting hung up on the wrong thing. At least that's been the conversation for the last couple of years. All right, Ambassador Nathan Sales, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.